Hey everyone, it has been a minute. Life has been full. In the last 6 months, we moved countries. I started a new job. We welcomed a baby into the world. And if you've ever had a newborn in the house, you know just how busy that'll keep you. So if you've been wondering where I disappeared to, that's the answer. But delighted to be back. And you can expect to see a lot more here going forward. And over the last few months, something has been burning in my heart that I've been wanting to share with you. Because the more I've been reading the Gospels again and again, the more I kept noticing something that we almost never talk about, at least that I'm aware of. There's a word that appears throughout the Gospels, a word that describes what people do when they encounter Jesus. And it's not the word that we use today usually. The word is a Greek word, it's proskynesis. And once you see it, you start seeing it pop up all over the place. People fall before him. Kings fall, the sick fall. The desperate fall, the disciples fall, even demons fall. And what I've come to realize is that this one word unlocks something profound about who Jesus actually is and what the human heart was created for, your heart, my heart. So over the next 4 videos, I want to walk slowly through this reality with you, not as a theological lecture, but as a rediscovery of the Jesus that we meet in the gospel. Because here is the transformation I believe that this series can bring. If you really see what the gospel reveals about Jesus, worship will stop being something you try to do, and it will become the most natural response of your life. You won't have to force it. You won't have to manufacture it. You'll understand why, when people saw him, they fell. So today we begin with the first and most important question. What is proskynesis? And more importantly, why does it keep happening whenever someone truly sees Jesus? Most of us think worship is something we initiate. We decide to sing. We choose to pray. We attempt to lift our hearts toward God. But when you open the Gospels carefully, you look more closely, something different appears. No one begins with worship. It just doesn't happen. They begin with seeing. It's with a vision. They see. And when they see him, they fall. The Greek word that the gospel writers use is proskynesis. It means to bow low, to fall toward, to kiss toward, to prostrate. It's not primarily a song. It's not first an emotion. It's the body's recognition of reality, of what the soul recognizes to be true. Proskynesis is what happens when the human person suddenly realizes who is standing in front of them. The first place that we see this is in Matthew's Gospel in chapter 2. The Magi, they arrive in Bethlehem. And these guys, they are educated men, observers of the heavens, men accustomed to interpreting signs in the sky. And yet when they see the child with Mary, his mother, the text says that they fell and they worshipped him. They fell down and worshipped him. I want you to think about that for a moment, right? They fall before a child. There's no throne, there's no crown, no army. It's just a child in a feeding trough. But here's the key. Revelation outruns appearances. Something in them knows this is no ordinary child. This is the one toward whom the stars themselves have been pointing. And before theology is formed, before explanations can catch up, their bodies do the only sane thing. They fall in recognition, because proskynesis happens when reality suddenly becomes clear. You see this again later on in Matthew's Gospel in chapter 14. The disciples, they're in the boat. The wind's violent. The sea is chaotic. It's kicking up a fuss around them. And then they see Jesus walking toward them on the water. He's not fighting the storm. He's not negotiating with the chaos. He is walking upon it. And I want to give you some context, because this is really important to understand here, guys. In the ancient Jewish imagination, the sea represented untamable disorder. And here is a man walking across it like solid ground, like he's just going down the sidewalk. And when he steps into the boat and the wind ceases, the text says that those in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." It's proskynesis. I want you to notice the order here. There's chaos. Then there's revelation. There's a seeing. They see him. Then stillness, and then worship. They don't worship to calm the storm. And let's be honest, many of us try to do that. We try to manipulate God with worship. If I worship him, hopefully he'll move his mighty arm to do my bidding. No, they worship because they have seen the one who stands above the chaos, who walks upon it. And then something even more intimate happens later on in the gospel, in chapter 28 after the resurrection. The women that encounter the risen Christ, the gospel tells us they took hold of his feet and worshipped him. Proskynesis. They grasped his feet. Why the feet? Because this isn't some kind of abstract spirituality. This encounter is with the incarnate Son of God, the risen Lord. And they cling to the one death could not hold. Come on. Their worship is not polished. It's not composed. It's messy. It's overwhelmed. Because, and this is important, guys, at the heart of our Christian faith, resurrection is not an idea. It's a reality. It's a person standing in front of you. But here's the part that surprises many people. It surprised me when I read this. Just a few verses later, Matthew writes something fascinating. He says, when they saw him, they worshipped him. And then a little later it says, but some doubted. Worship and doubt in the same moment together. So it's to say that seeing Jesus doesn't eliminate mystery, it deepens it. Proskynesis doesn't require full comprehension. What it requires is your recognition. It doesn't require your comprehension, it requires your recognition. So you may not understand everything about the Lord, and I gotta be honest, who wants to worship a God that they can fully understand? That's no God worth worshiping. But if you glimpse who he is, the knee bends. Proskynesis. And this is where this becomes deeply personal for us, because if we're honest, many of us struggle with worship. We think we need more discipline, we need more focus, more emotion. So we try to manufacture something, and we turn up the music, we stir up our hearts, we dim the lights. All that stuff is good, but proskynesis cannot be manufactured. It happens when Jesus is seen clearly. And the problem is not that we're unwilling to worship. The problem is that we have often reduced him. We've shrunk him down. We have domesticated Jesus to simply being an advisor, our life coach, a moral teacher. But the Gospels present someone far more than that. It's not this little light of mine. The scriptures say that our God is a consuming fire. This is someone before whom wind obeys, demons tremble, death itself collapses, and when the reality becomes visible, proskynesis is not difficult. It is inevitable. In the ancient world, proskynesis was offered to a king. It was the bodily recognition of sovereignty. To bow meant you acknowledge their authority. But in the Gospels, what we're seeing is something so astonishing. People begin offering proskynesis to a humble carpenter from Nazareth. And interestingly, Jesus does not refuse it, because what they are recognizing is true. The one standing before them is not merely a teacher. He is the center around which reality itself is ordered. And when reality becomes clear, the body follows. This is why the Christian life begins not with striving, but with beholding. John writes in his gospel, we have seen his glory. Seen. Not imagined, not projected, seen. The entire Christian life flows from that word, because when Christ is truly seen, everything reorders itself. Your fears, your ambitions, your identity itself, your future, they all fall into their proper place. Just like the Magi, the disciples, the women at the resurrection, they saw him and they fell. Now, here's the invitation for you. I want you to slow down with the Gospels again. Not to extract lessons or to gather inspiration, but to see him. Watch how he moves. Listen how he speaks. Pay attention what happens when Jesus walks into the room, because when the real Christ confronts your imagination, you'll not have to convince yourself to worship. You will find yourself doing what every sane creature does in his presence. You'll fall. Not in humiliation, right? But in alignment. Because Proskynesis is not about shrinking, it's harmony. It's the creature returning to its center, returning to its creator. And if something in you, if it's stirring as you hear this, if you realize that perhaps your vision of Jesus has been far too small, then I want to help you go deeper in this encounter. Everything we share here is really meant to serve one purpose, not information, but transformation. It's about helping people move from simply believing in Jesus to actually living in communion, in fellowship with him. You can have as much of him as you want. So if you want to continue that journey, you'll find some resources below that can help you step into that more intentionally. And they're here to guide you into what we're talking about here, namely to become a resting place for his presence. And in the next video, we're going to explore something surprising, because in the Gospels, the first people who fall before Jesus are not the strong. They are the desperate, it's the leper, it's the grieving father, it's the outsider. And we're going to discover why need is often the doorway to real worship. So if you want to rediscover the Jesus who causes hearts to bow and lives to reorder themselves around him, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you in the next video. And remember, eternal life starts now.